Pay attention. Your thoughts are the architects of what you will harvest. Imagine for a moment you are driving on a dark road. The night is thick and your hands rest on the wheel. You cannot see far ahead. Fear tightens in your chest. Then, suddenly, headlights cut through the black, a narrow lane of possibility. That light is wisdom. Proverbs 3 points you to that light, not as a vague sentiment, but as a practical code for life. Where you place your trust, how you order your days, what you honor with your resources, these are the levers that bend a future toward fruitfulness. I want to walk you through the secrets that text reveals and show you how to turn them into daily practices, visualizations, and declarations that change the way you act, decide, and receive. I will not promise a magic formula. I will not hand you a guaranteed shortcut. What I will do is give you a map, 9 precise keys, and the exercises that press them into your muscle memory. These are not abstract slogans. They are habits, alignments of the heart and mind that create the conditions for doors to open, for favor to be perceptible, and for the fruit of your labor to be multiplied. Napoleon Hill, who taught the power of definiteness of purpose and the discipline of thought, would nod here. Thought, focused and obedient to wise principle, becomes the magnet for opportunity. Secret 1. Trust with the right hand. Transfer of confidence. Proverbs 3 makes trust the foundational posture. Paraphrased, don't lean on your own understanding. Place your weight on God's wisdom. Practically, this is about reallocating your default trust. Where do you habitually place confidence? In quick ideas, in flashy social proof, or in careful counsel and divine wisdom? Imagine your right hand as the hand that signs the contracts, makes the investments, launches the product. When you lay that right hand on wisdom, you change which deals, which risks, which relationships you authorize. Exercise. Close your eyes. Picture a ledger with 3 columns: idea, counsel, wisdom. For every decision you face this week, place a marble in one of the columns. Watch how your marbles collect. Now, imagine taking your right hand and moving marbles from the idea column into the wisdom column. Say aloud, I will trust wisdom first. Repeat that phrase for 30 seconds each morning. This trains the muscle of decision-making. Secret 2. Acknowledge before action, the compass of purpose. The text invites you to acknowledge God in all your ways. Read as practical strategy, this is a daily alignment ritual. Before you act, name the purpose. Before you invest energy, state the end you pursue. Defining a clear purpose is not spiritual vagueness. It is the same clarity Napoleon Hill demands of the person with definiteness of purpose. When you acknowledge the source of wisdom and align your aim to it, you prevent the scatter of effort. Exercise. Each morning, in 3 sentences, out loud, answer, what is the one thing I must accomplish today that moves me closer to my God-aligned purpose? Where does this connect to serving others? Writing this forces clarity. Then visualize the day unfolding around that aim like a river finding the sea. Obstacles reroute, time compresses, opportunities become visible. Secret 3. The humility of strength, fear that frees you. There is a reverent fear that liberates, the kind that makes you cautious with pride and courageous in obedience. Here, fear of the Lord is a posture that prevents the self-sabotage of arrogance. It keeps your ambition tethered. Imagine a tree by the water. Deep roots, steady trunk. Humility is the root system. Pride is the wind that can topple an unrooted tree. Application. In leadership, humility says, I will listen before I speak. I will test the plan. I will appoint counsel. In finances, humility says, I will budget, not because fear paralyzes me, but because stewardship honors the source of my provision. Exercise. When you plan a major move, hire, invest, expand, call 2 people whose judgment you respect and ask for their honest critique. Do this as a ritual for 6 months. You will rewire impulsive confidence into disciplined trust. Secret 4. Discipline as loving correction, training over shame. The text refers to correction as something to welcome. Reframed, discipline is the training ground for potential. An athlete does not avoid the coach's whistle because it bruises pride. They lean in because it yields strength. When you accept correction as an instrument of growth, you accelerate learning curves and shorten seasons of defeat. Illustration. Picture a potter's hands shaping clay. Each press and pinching is a correction, but the final vessel is formed by many small, painful adjustments. Your life is the clay. Practice. Create an accountability system. Weekly, review 3 actions that did not go as planned, and identify 1 corrective exercise for each. It might be reading 10 minutes on financial literacy, making 1 apology, or delegating a task. Keep the list visible. Say aloud, correction trains me toward excellence. Secret 5. Honor with wealth, the principle of primacy. Honoring is not a moralistic demand. It is an economic principle that creates spiritual and social currency. When the text says to honor with your substance and first fruits, think of it as setting the first fruits of your success toward the thing that birthed it. This is not about reckless giving. It is about prioritizing gratitude and sowing into systems of blessing. Caution and balance. Do this with prudence. Give from growth and with intention, not from desperate hope. Stewardship looks like planned generosity, a percentage set aside and allocated with prayerful purpose and practical budgeting. Exercise. Decide on a percentage you will honor this season. Create a simple system, an envelope, a transfer, an earmarked account. Each time you honor, close your eyes and visualize shelves filling, a storage room of favor and goodwill. This builds a habit that reorients your heart and your balance sheet. Secret 6. Pursue wisdom relentlessly, the competitive edge. Wisdom is more valuable than silver or rubies. In modern language, wisdom is your competitive advantage. It shapes timing, refines strategy, and protects against expensive mistakes. The person who invests in sound counsel, in continual learning, and who surrounds themselves with a mastermind of diverse minds increases the probability of success. Napoleon Hill Resonance. Hill taught the mastermind principle, that coordinated minds produce ideas and opportunities that single minds rarely achieve alone. Pair that with Proverbs. Seek wise companions who will sharpen you. Practice. Establish a learning cycle. Every quarter, choose 1 area to master that directly affects your primary vocation. Read books, take 1 focused course, form a small group to problem solve. Meet monthly with that group and trade honest reports. This is how knowledge becomes wisdom, through application and correction. Secret 7. Discipline your days. Small rhythms, big results. The text connects instruction and correction with long life and peace. In practical terms, discipline compounds. Micro habits, your morning page, your planning hour, your rest, aggregate into a life trajectory. You will not win overnight, but you can win by daily insistence. Sensory image. Visualize a field at dawn. Each morning, you plant a seed. By harvest, the field is full. The planting is invisible work. The harvest is obvious to others. Exercise. Build a simple daily rhythm. 30 minutes of focused work on your top goal. 20 minutes of learning, 10 minutes of reflection. Use a timer. Record wins. Repeat for 90 days. This is like manual training for the will. Secret 8. Value wisdom over treasure, the trade that pays. There is a temptation to chase visible wealth over enduring wisdom. The text is clear. Wisdom outvalues gold. Translate that into decisions. Choose partnerships that build character and competence over those promising instant return without integrity. Choose clients, investors, and friends who will sharpen rather than consume. Scenario. An entrepreneur is offered a fast-growing payday from a partner who pushes shortcuts. The wise route is slower, may cost reputation, but produces durable returns. Ask, in 5 years, which path will compound my capacities, not just my bank account? Exercise. Before any major agreement, write a 5-year projection for 2 paths, the quick return and the wise return. Include relational, reputational, and skill gains. Often, the wise path wins on durability. Secret 9. Expect the triad: time, wealth, honor. Proverbs 3 speaks of threefold returns: length of days, riches, and honor. Read as strategy, this triad describes temporal blessings, good health and longevity of fruit, material increase, and social recognition born of wise living. The guarantee is not transactional magic, but a pattern. Obedience to wisdom tends to produce aligned outcomes across time, money, and reputation. Visualization. Stand in a field with 3 gates. Each gate opens to a section of your life: health, provision, influence. Walk to each gate and place a hand on the latch. See keys in your palm: trust, humility, discipline. Turn the keys in measured sequence and watch the gates swing open slowly, not all at once, but steadily. Now, how do you take these 9 secrets from principles into muscle memory? Here are 3 integrated practices that combine mental training with biblical posture and modern discipline. Practice A, the morning alignment, 10 minutes. 1. Sit upright, feet on the floor. Breathe deeply for 1 minute. 2. State your 1-sentence purpose for the day aloud. 3. Visualize the day as a road. See obstacles, see the headlight of wisdom cutting through. Step mentally into the portions where you must choose. See yourself choosing the wise option. 4. Declare a single corrective action you will do if you falter. 5. End by saying, "I will honor well today." Repeat it 3 times. Practice B, the accountability ledger, weekly, 20 minutes. 1. Record 3 wins and 3 corrections from the past week. 2. For each correction, assign a small, measurable exercise. 3. Identify 1 person to whom you will give an honest report by message or call. 4. Visualize depositing each correction into a training chest. Sense the chest growing heavier with capacity. Practice C, the giving primer, monthly. 1. Decide a planned amount to honor with purpose. 2. Allocate it intentionally. 1 part to charity, 1 part to service, 1 part to investment into your mission. 3. Visualize seeds cast into the ground. Imagine small green shoots rising in months ahead. I want you to feel these as disciplines, not as guilt. This is not a theology of quick wins. It is a long-game architecture. You are rewiring how you move through time, how you choose partners, how you allocate time and resources. Let me give you a short story to anchor this. There was a woman, an entrepreneur, who had a brilliant product but a chaotic calendar. She was proud and insulated, convinced she could do it all. One mentor said, "Trade your quick instincts for 1 habit, the morning alignment." She did. She began to call 2 trusted advisors each month. She allocated the first 5% of income to intentional honor. She took correction instead of arguing. Within 2 years, she had not only revenue growth, but invitations to partnerships and a staff who stayed. Her reputation shifted. She did not become wealthy by accident. She became wise by habit, and wealth followed as consequence. This is the pattern we read in Proverbs. Now, a short guided visualization so you can internalize the posture of receiving wise outcomes without chasing vanity. Sit, close your eyes, breathe. Picture a barn at dusk. The barn doors are open and empty now. Your labor has been sowing all season. Walk into the field and gather handfuls of grain. Notice the texture, the weight, the smell of dry straw and earth. Carry those handfuls to the barn and place them on a shelf labeled stewardship. Feel the satisfaction of ordered storage. Now move to another shelf marked generosity and place a few handfuls there. Hear distant footsteps. People come to your gate because your store is honest. This image is not magic. It is the outcome of repeated fidelity. A short declaration to anchor your mind. Do not present it as a sales pitch, but as a daily posture you may choose to adopt. When you are ready, speak it aloud. I choose wisdom as my chief advisor. I trust before I rush. I embrace correction as training. I honor with my first and best. I commit to disciplined days. As I pursue wisdom, I steward well, and I walk toward increase with humility and purpose. Say it 3 times, breathing between each phrase. If you mean it, write it on a card and place it where you will read it each morning. There are practical guardrails here. Do not leap into risky financial schemes in the name of faith. Do not give beyond need to the point of self-endangerment. Discernment is part of wisdom. If a decision affects your family's stability, consult counsel, lay out alternatives, test the plan. Faith without prudence is not faith at all. It is bravado. Pairing with proven secular methods strengthens the muscle. Napoleon Hill taught auto-suggestion and definiteness of purpose. Repeat clear goals daily and act like the person who already holds them. Combine that with the Proverbs posture, humility, honor, correction, and you create both the ambition and the ethical foundation that sustains lasting success. We have reached a moment where choices will bifurcate your path. You can keep knowledge as mere information, or you can internalize it as identity. Wisdom becomes your identity when you habitually trust rightly, acknowledge purpose before action, welcome corrective training, honor what birthed your increase, pursue counsel, discipline your days, choose wisdom over quick money, and expect sustainable returns across time, wealth, and honor. Before we go further into how discipline shapes destiny and the precise routines that convert vision into measurable income and influence, take a breath. Feel the road beneath your tires. Know that the headlights are real and that you can steer toward them. Pay attention because the next level deepens the mechanics of discipline and the rituals that make long-term harvest inevitable. Discipline at its core is not the suppression of joy, but the cultivation of shape. It frames freedom. When you give your days a form, you do not shrink possibilities, you channel them. The practices that follow are small. Their effect is not immediate and is often invisible in the moment. That is precisely why they work. They outlast mood swings, market noise, and the flattering promises of quick schemes. Begin with the arithmetic of attention. Notice where you spend the first 90 minutes of your waking day and the last 90 minutes before sleep. Those windows compound. If you begin in distraction, inbox, headlines, reactionary scrolling, you will calibrate your mind to the loudest thing, not to the most important thing. If you begin in intention, a short alignment ritual, a written top 3, a moment of gratitude, and a breath, you prime the rest of the day to serve the values you want to grow. A reliable morning template. Open with a breath and a single sentence of purpose, not a paragraph, one clear sentence. Today, I will choose wisdom in negotiation. Today, I will protect time for creative work. Say it, then write it. Read a passage, a quote, or a note that anchors humility and courage. Keep it brief. The goal is calibration, not content consumption. Identify the one thing that, if completed, would make today successful. Block time for that work before answering messages. Honor the first fruits. Give the morning 5 minutes to pause and, if you practice giving with money, mark the intention of your first percent or set aside the item in your accounting. The physical act of reserving honors the promise you declared earlier. If you cannot maintain a full morning ritual, protect the first decision of the day. That one decision, how you begin, determines dozens of smaller choices that follow. Weekly rhythms are the scaffolding of monthly and annual outcomes. They convert intention into measurable motion. Design a small, repeatable sequence you can run each week. Sunday or Monday, set the weekly theme. Not a list of tasks, but a theme. Stewardship of relationships, product clarity, conservative growth. A theme keeps focus aligned. Midweek, a 30-minute triage. Review progress on the one thing. Where are you off course? Ask a short question. What is feedback telling me that I should adjust? Write one corrective action. Friday, harvest and tidy. Close open loops, transfer earned income into your stewardship buckets, note one story of generosity that happened in the week, and record one learning. This is simple. Complexity destroys follow-through. The point is consistency, not sophistication. Over time, the weekly theme becomes the monthly narrative, and the monthly narrative rolls into a pattern visible on a scorecard. Scorecards matter, not vanity metrics. They are few and faithful. Choose no more than 5 indicators across spiritual, relational, and operational domains. Example: cash runway, months at current burn. Revenue from recurring sources. Hours protected for deep work, per week. Number of meaningful conversations with counsel per month.
Dash. Acts of generosity executed per month. Record these numbers publicly or to an accountability partner. When figures are visible, decisions sharpen. When numbers alone become idols, return to the posture of humility. Numbers inform, but they do not become the arbiter of worth. Counsel, as we said, is not a luxury. It is a discipline. You will be tempted to take counsel that merely praises or that echoes your plan. Seek people who will give you a truthful lens and who will be willing to risk discomfort rather than preserve your dignity at the cost of growth. Invite correction. Practice receiving it without justifying. A simple rule: one humble listener for every 2 champions. Champions encourage, listeners correct. Guardrails for growth protect what matters. They are not walls to ambition, but fences that prevent ruin. Practical guardrails include the stop-loss rule. Define in advance the threshold at which you will cease an experiment. Decide how much time, money, or emotional energy you will risk before you reassess. The covenant of margins. Maintain 2 hidden reserves, an emergency buffer, and a margin for rest. Do not spend until both are intact. The partner test. Before taking on a major collaborator, work together on a small, high-stakes micro-project to test values, communication, and humility under pressure. The listening ledger. Journal feedback you receive. If multiple independent voices converge on a critique, prioritize fixing it. There will be seasons of apparent failure. Discipline does not immunize you from storms. It gives you structures to weather them. When a plan fails, perform a sober audit. Separate facts from fear. Facts are measurable. Fear is interpretive. Ask, what did I assume that was false? What did I control that I did not? Who did I not consult? Learn fast. The ethical response to failure is not blame. It is ownership and correction. Let me name 3 rituals you can adopt tonight that alter trajectory. 1. The weekly pause. Schedule 30 minutes each Friday evening or before your Sabbath for a low-pressure review. Note 1 success, 1 failure, and 1 corrective step. Make it ritualistic. A pen, a small candle, a consistent chair. Repetition trains judgment. 2. The quarterly peer audit. Every 3 months, convene 2 or 3 peers and present a 1-page report. Wins, losses, assumptions. Ask them to challenge 1 assumption and to identify 1 blind spot. Do not defend. Listen. 3. The honor ledger. Create a small account or envelope labeled first fruit. Each time you receive income, allocate the agreed percentage immediately. This is performative discipline. The act of separating honors the principle and trains the muscle of giving without negotiation. All of this is scaffolded by a posture: humility before wisdom, gratitude before entitlement, correction before pride. When you insulate yourself against correction, you forfeit the very mechanisms that produce trustworthy influence. Reputation is not made by a single grand gesture, but by repeated fidelity. Answering the difficult calls, honoring agreements, returning the favor, acknowledging when you were wrong. There is spiritual danger in the hustle that masquerades as vocation.
Ambition without tether becomes addiction. Service without limit becomes enmeshment. Giving without discernment becomes self-harm. Discipline requires both fierce generosity and prudent restraint. In practice, that means you say no as readily as you say yes. The nobility of an offer does not require your assent. Learn to decline with a blessing, a full-hearted no that still honors the person asking and redirects them where possible. Consider the entrepreneur again. Her early wins tempted rapid expansion, more hires, larger office, quicker marketing spends. She almost answered yes to every bright opportunity. A mentor's simple question stopped her. If this grows as you expect, will it deepen the patterns you want to become, or will it ask you to be someone else? She chose fewer, deeper commitments. She hired slowly. She institutionalized the morning alignment across her core team. When a tempting investor proposal arrived offering scale in exchange for control, she declined. The company grew slower than the splashy narratives around her, but it grew steady. Employee turnover dropped. The brand became synonymous with integrity. Her margins improved not only because of revenue, but because of reduced friction, fewer misaligned projects, and the steadiness of a team that trusted the leader's routine. Finally, do not mistake ritual for rigidity. Discipline breathes, it adapts. There will be legitimate seasons to pivot. Illness, family needs, sudden windows of opportunity that align with long-held values. The difference between a panicked pivot and a wise pivot is the presence of a framework. You make changes from a posture of stewardship, not desperation. Check your motives, consult counsel, keep your guardrails. Close today by returning to the image of the barn at dusk. You have the handfuls of grain, stewardship, generosity, reinvestment. Each handful placed on a shelf is a small act of faith that the future will require more than impulse. Build the shelves, label them, visit them often. With disciplined days and trusted counsel, the harvest becomes not a miraculous exception, but the natural outcome of a life cultivated with wisdom. Now, having rooted these habits in intention and testing, let us proceed into the specific architectures that turn weekly rituals into organizational systems. How to design a personal scorecard that survives growth, how to scale counsel so it stays intimate, how to translate the one thing into delegable systems without surrendering ownership. We will map templates you can copy and adapt, and practical scripts to use when inviting correction or declining opportunity. These are the next instruments for turning character into capacity and repeated small choices into durable influence. Start with the scorecard as covenant, not a spreadsheet. A personal scorecard survives growth when it names what matters, limits what is measured, and ties each line to a concrete ritual that renews attention. The architecture is simple. Reduce metrics to a handful of leading indicators, 2 lagging outcomes, 1 moral or relational check, and a single corrective action for the week. Below is a template you can copy and adapt. Personal scorecard, weekly 1-page template. Header, name, role, week ending. North Star, 1 sentence, the single outcome you exist to produce this quarter. Example, sustainably grow revenue while protecting team autonomy. Leading indicators, 3 to 5 items with target and current week value. Example, sales conversations, target 12, actual 9. Example, one-on-ones held with direct reports, target 3, actual 2. Example, hours and focused work on the one thing, target 15, actual 8. Lagging outcomes, 1 to 2, measured monthly or quarterly. Example, net revenue growth, employee retention rate. Moral/relational check, qualitative. 1 sentence on whether decisions this week honored stated values. Yes, no, plus 1 to 2 lines of evidence. Risk flags, up to 3. Short notes, burnout risk, overloaded week ahead. Investor term sheet requires governance concession. 1 corrective step, concrete, who, by when. Example, delegate client onboarding checklist to operations and train by Friday. Owner, M. Training session, 60 minutes. Weekly reflection, 2 lines.
One success, one failure, and the lesson. Rituals, tiny actions tied to the card. Light a candle or set a 15-minute timer to review, write the card by hand, speak the North Star aloud. Rules for keeping the scorecard alive. Limit. If you are measuring more than 5 leading indicators, you are measuring noise. Link. Every metric must link to the North Star. If it does not, remove it. Ownership. The scorecard has a single owner who updates it weekly and a watcher, peer or coach, who reads it before the quarterly review. Visibility. Keep the one-page card accessible to the small council that needs to know the trade-offs, not to broadcast performance theater. Archive. Preserve past cards for 1 year to see patterns. Patterns are the teacher. How to translate the one thing into delegable systems. 1. Define the outcome in observable terms. Replace wishful verbs with evidenceable behaviors. Bad. Improve customer experience. Good. Reduce first response time to support requests to under 4 hours. Increase CSAT to 4.2/5. 2. Break the outcome into 3 supporting sub-processes. For customer response, these might be triage, response scripting, escalation. 3. For each sub-process, create an acceptance test. This is the single line that tells you the work is done.
Triage acceptance test. All incoming requests assigned and acknowledged within 30 minutes. Response scripting acceptance test. Template reduces average reply drafting time to less than 6 minutes. 4. Write the decision rules. What can be decided at which level? Use thresholds. Up to $500 credit, team lead can authorize. Anything above requires manager sign-off. 5. Build the training loop. A 60-minute walkthrough, a documented checklist, and one supervised run where the trainee performs the full cycle while the trainer observes. 6. Create the escalation trigger. What to do when the system fails. If triage misses more than 2 requests in one shift, owner investigates within 24 hours and reports corrective plan in next weekly scorecard. 7. Lock the cadence. Weekly checkpoints for the first 90 days, then monthly audits. Delegation script. For the delegator. Open. I want this outcome done. Here is how I will judge success. Explain. The acceptance test is X. You will have Y resources and Z authority. Confirm. Do you see any blockers? What supports do you need? Agree. We'll run a supervised trial on date. If criteria are met, I will step back and you'll own it. Close. I will remain available for escalations defined as list. Scaling counsel without losing intimacy. Counsel scales when its structure preserves the intimacy of honest truth-telling and the distribution of risk. The mistake most leaders make is adding more voices without redesigning roles. A durable counsel architecture includes 3 concentric circles. Core counsel, 3 to 5 people. Composition, trusted peers who know the work and the values. Function, monthly, confidential, directional counsel. They read the one-page scorecard and interrogate assumptions. Norm, radical candor. They must name the worst reasonable outcome they see. Ritual, 60 to 90 minutes, one topic deep dive, pre-read the card. Tactical circle, 6 to 12 people. Composition, specialists and collaborators. Ops lead, product owner, marketing chief. Function, bi-weekly or monthly coordination, handle exceptional friction. Norm, problem solving, not values-laden debates. Advisory network, broad. Composition, a looser set of mentors you consult ad hoc. Function, perspective and referral. They are not steamrollers for decisions. Norm, short asks, clear framing, gratitude for time. Rules for healthy counsel. Rotate one seat on the core council every 18 to 24 months to avoid capture. Keep the core council meeting confidential and focused. They do not solve operational microproblems. They test alignment and guardrails. Use a challenge card method. One person is assigned to play contrarian in each meeting and must begin with, "If this goes poorly, what will be the first sign?" Ask for one explicit dissent each meeting. If no one can name a plausible negative, the plan likely lacks rigor. Template for presenting to council. 1 page. Title and ask, what decision is needed? 1 sentence context, why now? North Star alignment, how this advances or risks the North Star. Counterparty map, who benefits, who pays a cost. Key assumptions, 2 to 4, label the riskiest. Evidence so far, metrics, proposed guardrails, what controls you will accept. Decision sought, approve, approve with conditions, decline. 1 question for counsel to answer. Scripts to invite correction. Good correction is invitational and specific. Below are opening lines you can use when asking an ally or advisor to challenge you. For a peer, I want your candid view on whether my priorities match the reality. If I'm blind, please tell me what I am most likely minimizing. For a manager to a coach, tell me one thing I am doing that will look foolish in a year if I keep doing it. Be specific. For a public ask, I'm preparing to scale X. Which assumption would you bet against and why? For a direct report, if you could change one habit in how I lead our team, what would it be? Give me one example. When you invite correction, close the loop. Ask for specific behavior to watch for. Commit to a corrective step and a timeline. Express gratitude and record their feedback on your scorecard. Scripts to decline, a full-hearted no that honors the asker. Declining is an art that preserves relationships while protecting capacity. Use the following pattern: affirmation, reason, brief and personal, offer of alternative, blessing. Script A, opportunity from a partner. I'm honored you asked me. This looks like a generous chance, but I must say no because it would pull focus from our current commitments to customers and team stability. I can connect you with X who does this well, or offer a shorter pilot we can run later. I'm grateful you thought of me. Script B, volunteering or ask from a friend. Thank you for trusting me. Right now, I don't have the bandwidth to do this with the attention it warrants. I can help by brainstorming contacts or giving feedback on a plan if that helps. Script C, investor or funder with misaligned terms. I appreciate the offer and the trust. I'm choosing not to accept terms that would cede control over our hiring and product roadmap. If the structure changes to preserve those guardrails, I'd be open to reevaluating. Practice declining aloud until the language feels natural. Softening qualifiers dilute the clarity you need to protect capacity. The quarterly peer audit, a reproducible script. 2 weeks before, send 1-page scorecard and a short read ahead. Start meeting, 10 minutes, gratitude, 1 personal check-in. Present, 10 minutes, owner summarizes card and the biggest dilemma. Peer challenge, 20 minutes. Each peer names 1 assumption to test and 1 blind spot. Decision and commitments, 10 minutes. Owner states corrective step and who will hold them accountable. Close, quick appreciation, schedule follow-up. Honor ledger, small rituals to make discipline visible. Choose percentage and treat it as untouchable until allocated. Record each allocation by hand in an envelope or designated ledger. Make allocation before paying any discretionary expense. Announce and describe the practice in 1 sentence to your primary stakeholders, team/partner, so it becomes an externalized discipline. Scripts for the operational handoff when delegating the one thing, email or spoken. Subject, handoff, outcome, acceptance test attached. Lead, I'm handing ownership of outcome to you. The acceptance test is state test. Resources, you have resources, tools, and people. Authority, you may approve decisions up to threshold. Anything beyond that, we escalate to me. Cadence, first checkpoint, supervised run on date. Weekly sync for 6 weeks. Safety net, escalation trigger. If any of these happen, list, ping me immediately. Gratitude and trust. I trust you, let me know what you need to succeed. Translating these into living systems. Templates do not guarantee discipline, cadence does. Choose a rhythm you can keep before you expand. Automate where possible, but do not outsource judgment. Use software for reminders, but write the reflections by hand. Name the cultural signals you want to produce and ensure your practices model them. E.g., when you honor a missed deadline by owning the fix publicly, you teach the team how to recover. Practical scripts for the hard conversations you will face. 1. When a partner proposes faster scale at the cost of control. I hear the upside. My priority is preserving the operating principles that keep our team healthy. If this deal requires me to give up those controls, I must decline. If we can structure guardrails that protect autonomy, I am willing to revisit. 2. When a team member asks for more authority than you can yet afford. I want to give you more, and I also need to ensure the systems are in place so you're set up to succeed. Let's trial this responsibility with a clear acceptance test and a 30, 60, 90 review. 3. When you receive flattering praise that tempts overreach. Thank you. I value the encouragement. Before I change course, I'll test this against our North Star and consult the core council. A short operational checklist for the first 90 days of implementing these systems. Week 1. Craft your North Star and first one-page scorecard. Week 2. Identify and invite 2 peers to your quarterly peer audit. Week 3. Choose the one thing to delegate and create the acceptance test. Week 4. Run the first supervised handoff and log the result. Week 6. Run the first ritualized weekly review. Same chair, same pen. Week 12. Run the first quarterly peer audit and adjust metrics based on feedback. Keep watch for warning signs that indicate system failure. Metric bloat. New KPIs appear every week. Silence from council. Fewer dissenting views, more agreement. Ritual decay. Reviews happen without candor or have become checkbox exercises. Role confusion. Unclear decision rights leading to slow responses. When those show up, return to the barn image. Choose one shelf to repair first. Make one corrective step visible and non-negotiable. Announce it to your watcher, record it on the scorecard, and hold the following week's ritual in the same chair. Now, with these templates and scripts in hand, you can begin to convert private discipline into organizational habit. A scorecard that scales with you, counsel that remains honest even as your circle grows, and delegation routines that preserve ownership while multiplying capacity. The next pages will set out fillable versions of each template and sample language for the most common scenarios, ready for copying, trimming, and making your own.